I'm here with Luis Caritas, board member from SILVIP, a very big player here in Portugal, and we want to take this opportunity to understand a little bit more about the market, how things are here, what do you see happening here. But before that, can you tell us a little bit more about your company?
Yes, thank you for having us. So SILVIP is one of the longest existing fund managers since 1987.
Wow.
We've been doing the management of a retail fund, which is VIP fund, manages currently around 400 million euros. And then also since 2015, we began to manage separate accounts to institutional clients and also family offices, mainly European and mainly foreigners. So currently we manage around 800 million euros of assets and mandates under management.
Excellent. How do you see the market at the moment? When you speak to foreign investors, what's the temperature you get from the investors and how do you see the opportunities here?
Mm-hmm. The market evolved since 2015-16 of very big interest, a lot of funds coming into Portugal. We manage funds that acquire large portfolios that were available at the time. Currently, what we assist is really a transition period. There are funds going out of the market that they've made their funds, so now they are selling the assets, the refurbished assets they are selling, and other managers that want to come in Portugal, mainly because those managers still have some money to invest. So the current context of higher interest rates and higher risk, where still Portugal performs, I would say, against Europe relatively well, but those are, I would say, the last comers, and some people are just waiting to see if there's going to be impact and the repricing of assets, then to deploy more money to invest in Portugal.
Yeah, this is when we speak to the investors here today, and we have investors from several countries here. We see a lot of them in this wait and see mood, right? Would you say that second half of the year we might see this changing, or it's very related to the situation in the US and England where prices have already been readjusted already? It depends on how things change there. How do you see this changing?
I don't anticipate that the second half of the year is going to be enormous changes against the first half. So I would see that some fund managers, they still have some money which either they invest or they need to give it back to the core investors, mainly the pension funds. Also, those core investors are changing their asset allocation, so moving money away from real estate to fixed income, for instance, and therefore, whether the interest rates began to go down, which we don't anticipate yet, or is going to be the same type of market, which means that some assets appear in the market in a tender way to be placed in the market, some small portfolios. They have 5, 6, 7 bids, mainly for either core investors as the open-ended funds here in Portugal, like a VIP fund that we manage, or still some private equities companies that still have a mandate to invest, but with a deadline. Okay. So they really need to invest, so they've got their commissions, management commissions.
Very interesting. If you had to pick the best opportunity here in the country, would be a specific asset class? Is it a part of the country? What would be the best opportunity here for real estate investors?
I would say that has to be to a cherry picking, because Portugal is a small market and also very segmented in terms of the opportunities. Of course, we see that residential, mainly the top level residential, still is performing well, and at the top level, that probably won't have the impact of some slowdown in terms of economy. So we see the Cascais market, for instance, but also the top touristic market in Algarve, like Quinta do Lago or Val de Lobo. They are performing very well, and also new projects being launched in the Costa Alentejana, even with American capital. So I think there is a niche there, but as for instance, on logistics side, the last mile logistics still is performing well. There's a lack of new spaces to be placed in the market. There are operators that want to acquire other operators, but with a different type of platforms, which right now doesn't exist. And we see that still, for instance, international players like Panasonic acquire land to be developed in Portugal, taking the risk of letting. So, as I mentioned this, I could mention also some opportunities in retail and also some opportunities to replace some offices, especially with the new amenities that makes a lot of interest so that you can attract the talent. So it's several niches that we have in Portugal, but I would say that the main sector is the one. That's why Portugal is so appealing, which is connected with the touristic sector.
Makes sense. Final question: Is there anything that would keep you up at night regarding the market?
Probably is a long period of increasing interest rates, although the Portuguese banks are very well capitalized, although they were very conservative because we were one of the latest to come out of the crisis. So we are not so exposed like other countries, but still we are a very small market. So if this still going on is going to take several years, probably the market will be dried out of liquidity, and a small market without liquidity is just a museum. It's a museum. It's not a real estate market.